Yeah, good morning there, Chris. So 10 o'clock, that's when this hearing starts at the Capitol. And basically, lawmakers are going to hear testimony from MnDOT and the State Patrol about shutting down highways when we have these large protests. They're also going to hear from members of the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association about law enforcement's response to the rioting and the looting in the aftermath of George Floyd's death. Now, this comes a day after a House panel declared racism a public health crisis in Minnesota. House Resolution 1 is essentially a statement of values that lawmakers would have to look at the data that links race to health outcomes and quality of life factors. So how racism affects economic equality, public safety, housing, early childhood education, and the delivery of human services. Lawmakers would have to factor the impact of race as they try to rectify these issues.
And we know that this resolution is just one single step forward. We're not going to undo 400 years of racial oppression within a special session.
So that bill still needs to pass the full House. But racial disparities were also at the forefront when Governor Walz just announced $100 million of federal COVID aid will go to rental assistance and other supported housing. But again, the big story out of the Capitol today, again, Chris, law enforcement testifying, talking about handling the rioting, the looting after George Floyd's death. So it'll be interesting to hear the conversations and the questions that lawmakers have for these members of law enforcement.
Yeah, a lot of people looking for answers as to just how things spiraled out of control on those days. Thanks, Ellery.